So I was thinking about Christian TikTok, and I was through prayer. I kind of got into my feelings a little bit about what would interest God about. Why would God want a relationship with us? Why? What is it about us that He thinks is even good? I don't think the word is good. I don't even know what the word is. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why God looks at us and sees anything, but you know. But then I realized through, I guess I was having maybe a pity party or something. But the conversation God was having in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve is very, very different than the conversation that we're even having with each other as Christians with the Holy Spirit. Like Christian TikTok is extremely interesting because they see God in the stars, they see Jesus in the stars, they see prophecy everywhere, and I don't think they're heretics for it. I think that this is open conversation. We should be allowed to have that open conversation and back and forth. The people who could have really had a back and forth that would have been very meaningful, whereas the disciples were kind of confused, because I think we forget that in that time in society, unless you have money or your family were Sadducees or Pharisees, you probably didn't learn how to read or write very well. And we know this through Apostle Paul. He was able to kind of manipulate the councils because he was born into being a Pharisee, and he came from a long line of Pharisees, and he actually was underneath a very well-known rabbi, I think, or sage. I don't know what they called that guy, but he was under him, and he was an ancient legend, and Apostle Paul sat under him as a Jew and a Jewish person who really knew the Old Testament really well. But the Pharisees and the Sadducees didn't have meaningful conversation with Jesus. They couldn't even have it back and forth because they were just offended. And then you had the disciples who were just kind of like, huh? What is he talking about? Because they didn't have access to the scrolls in the ways I think we think they did. They didn't have access, like have printed Torah just sitting around our house like we do. So I think we forget that. And also I think so what I'm trying to say is, if you were to take Adam and Eve and put them by a campfire, and Apostle Paul and Peter before, if you take Peter before the Pentecost, and you take one of the most knowledgeable, passionate Christians of today, and Abraham, you would have them all having very different conversations. Did Abraham walk around having conversations with fellow people a lot about do you know if you have the Holy Spirit, and have you seen where it is written? And he didn't. Neither were Adam and Eve. If you consider the hero's journey and that whole concept of people entering a dark place and becoming changed from within, and of course that dark place has symbolism of something about your own subconscious and all that, but they come out and almost new people. They come out people with better, stronger character, and the weathered people who are bolder and just have more character, and so this whole life journey thing, this whole living at certain times in history, this whole thing from Adam and Eve all the way to here, you can see that humanity is getting a better view, kind of like a more clear idea of God's silhouette, of who he really is and how big he really is, and his character, because we've always known gods that want to strike us down with lightning, but this is a God who laid down his life for us with his son. And it almost like was a back and forth between him and Abraham, but he did it throughout history, where it's like, look, you were willing to give your son for me, here's my son. Sometimes people idolize their children, and I think that's also one of the when I read the story, I think about that, how people sometimes idolize their kids, and how when God says, when we have to let our kids go and become their own Christian, their own, to figure it out, siblings too, we want the best for them, and sometimes you just want to smother something, and you got to learn to let go, and sometimes you got to let them go on their own journey, and that's what it reminds me of. That's what the story of Abraham and Isaac reminds me of, is sometimes God is asking you to do you love me enough to let them go on their own journey, their own hero's journey, and learn who the real hero is? Because that's how you enter that dark place. The only way you're going to get out is with the Holy Spirit and with Jesus Christ making a way for you, shining that light into that tunnel. So I do think the conversations that Adam and Eve were having are very different, because they weren't talking to him with any type of knowledge of who God could be. It's different from there's this thing where Abraham had to beg, kind of strike a deal with God about Sodom and Gomorrah, and whether or not, if there's one good man, or if there's 10 good men or 50 good men. That's a different kind of relationship than we're having with him now. But we also needed to go on our own journey as humanity as a whole to get to a place where, of course, the Messiah could be born. He could sacrifice his life and do what's always been in the cards for him to do, and for us to accept that sacrifice. And I do think that allows us to have almost like we get to, if we were in the presence of Abraham or Isaac or Adam and Eve, we'd have so much more knowledge accessible to us. And I know that's like, well, he used to walk with God, but we have a different kind of relationship. I do think with Moses, it was kind of very special and very close with Moses. That's very different. But even if you take the disciples before Pentecost and the disciples after Pentecost, you can tell there's a walking in the power that wasn't there before Pentecost, and that's the Holy Spirit. So it's really not about what they knew. It's about the fact that they had the Holy Spirit. That therein is the difference. So I know Abraham had the Holy Spirit, and God definitely walked with him, but he couldn't have this conversation we have about our hearts being changed and Jesus coming. He wouldn't be having these kind of conversations. We have just a different perspective. So I feel very grateful, and I think we are fortunate to be living in a time where we could go today, any time. I don't believe in the rapture personally, but if it's a thing and God's going to allow that to happen, then God's will be done. It's a mystery that I don't care to. I know people are bent on it, but I don't care. And so me staying here is the same as me leaving, in a sense, because as long as I'm here, I got to do the same thing anyway. And if I'm with Jesus in this place with the Holy Spirit, then I'm with him if I'm raptured. So it doesn't really make a difference to me, because he's with me no matter what.